nothing to fear, nothing to prove. When a man reaches this state, he becomes a rare presence in the world. Others may not fully understand him, but they will feel something different about him. He does not seek attention, yet he draws people in. He does not impose his will, yet his presence carries weight. He does not chase validation, yet he is respected without effort. This is not because he has mastered some external technique of influence, but because he has mastered himself. He does not react blindly to the words and actions of others because he is not ruled by his emotions. He does not crumble in the face of adversity because he does not see hardship as something to be avoided, but as something to be embraced. He does not seek power over others because he has already claimed power over himself. The storms of life do not shake him because he has already walked through the storm within and emerged unbroken. To know one's darkness is to know one's potential. A man who has faced himself completely does not fear what he is capable of. He knows his own strength, his own rage, his own weaknesses. And because he understands them, he is not controlled by them. He does not act out of blind impulse, nor does he suppress his instincts. Instead, he moves with deliberate intent, making choices with clarity rather than reaction. Most people live as prisoners of their conditioning, bound by the fears and beliefs they have never questioned. They live according to scripts they did not write, shaped by expectations they never agreed to. They do what they believe they must, not what their soul calls them to do. And so they live half-lives, never fully present, never fully awake, always waiting for some future moment to bring them the peace they could claim right now, if only they were willing to look within. But the man who has faced himself does not wait for peace, he creates it. He does not seek meaning outside himself. He realizes that meaning is something he must give to his own life. He does not seek to be saved, for he knows that there is nothing to be saved from, only truth to be seen, only illusions to be dissolved. He does not fight against the natural flow of life. He understands that pain is not an enemy but a teacher, that loss is not a punishment but a transformation, that fear is not a curse but an opportunity to grow. He moves with life, not against it, and because of this, he experiences a freedom that few will ever taste. The man who knows his darkness is no longer confined by the need to appear a certain way. He does not cling to identities, to roles, to external validation. He is not desperate to be liked, nor does he fear being misunderstood. He does not waste his energy explaining himself to those who are not ready to hear, nor does he seek to convince anyone of anything. He simply exists as he is, fully present, fully alive, fully free. And in this freedom, he discovers something that all men seek but few ever find, a life that is truly his own, a life not dictated by fear, not shaped by expectation, not bound by illusion, a life where he is no longer running, no longer hiding, no longer at war with himself, a life where he is at last whole. A man who has embraced his darkness no longer seeks escape. He no longer runs toward distractions, no longer fills his days with noise to drown out the silence of his own thoughts. He has sat in that silence. He has met himself in the dead of night when there was no one left to impress, no mask to wear, no roles to play. He has seen what lurks in the corners of his mind, the hidden fears, the unspoken desires, the unresolved pain. And instead of recoiling, instead of rejecting these parts of himself, he has welcomed them. Most men avoid this meeting. They fear what they will find if they look too closely. They are afraid that beneath the surface of their carefully constructed identity, they will discover something monstrous, something unworthy. And so they keep themselves busy, endlessly chasing something outside of themselves. Success, validation, power, distraction. But no matter how much they achieve, no matter how much they acquire, the feeling of unease remains. The unexamined self does not disappear simply because one refuses to look at it. It lingers, shaping every thought, every action, every relationship, until one day a man realizes he has spent his entire life running from himself. But the man who stops running, the man who turns inward and looks directly at what he has long feared, discovers something unexpected. He is not broken, he is not a mistake, he is not unworthy of love or understanding. He is simply human. And to be human is to be a complex, contradictory, ever-changing force. He sees that his anger is not evil, but a signal. His sorrow is not weakness, but depth. His fear is not an enemy, but a guide. When he integrates these parts of himself, instead of rejecting them, he finds a wholeness that others spend their lives searching for. When a man accepts his own darkness, he is no longer controlled by it. He does not lash out in uncontrolled rage because he has already faced the source of his anger. He does not seek approval from others because he has already given himself the acceptance he once craved. He does not drown in sorrow because he understands its purpose, its message, its lessons. He does not suppress his desires, nor is he enslaved by them. He moves through life with clarity, with presence, with a quiet confidence that comes from knowing himself completely. Most men are afraid of power, not the power of the world, but the power within themselves. They fear their own capacity for destruction, their own potential for chaos, their own ability to shape their reality. And because they fear it, they suppress it. They become small, hesitant, afraid to step fully into who they are. But the man who has walked through his own depths does not fear himself. He does not fear his strength, nor does he abuse it. He wields it with precision, with responsibility, with wisdom. He understands that true power is not in domination, but in mastery. Mastery over his own impulses, his own emotions, his own mind. A man who knows his darkness does not seek to control others because he has already mastered himself. He does not need to manipulate, to deceive, to play games of dominance and submission. He stands in his truth, unmoved by the shifting tides of external approval. He does not chase validation, nor does he shrink to fit into the expectations of others. He simply is. And in his presence, others feel something rare, someone who is whole, someone who is real, someone who is free. But freedom is not given, it is earned. It is earned through pain, through solitude, through the willingness to see oneself fully, without filters, without justifications. It is earned through the courage to face one's own demons, to walk into the places most would rather ignore, to embrace the entirety of one's existence without fear. It is a road that few take because it is not easy. It is far easier to live on the surface, to go through life numb, to follow the path laid out by others. But those who choose the easy road pay the price of never truly knowing themselves. A man who has faced himself does not cling to illusions. He does not pretend that life is only light, only happiness, only peace. He understands that existence is raw, unpredictable, and filled with both beauty and suffering. He does not reject one in favor of the other. He embraces both. He finds meaning not in the pursuit of comfort, but in the depth of experience. He does not seek a life free of struggle, but a life rich with awareness. He moves differently. He does not rush, does not chase, does not grasp at things outside of himself for fulfillment. He is content, not because he has everything, but because he needs nothing to be complete. He loves fully because he does not fear loss. He gives freely because he does not fear scarcity. He speaks his truth without hesitation because he is not seeking approval. He walks away when something no longer serves him because he is not bound by attachment. The world often mistakes such a man for someone detached, as if his lack of desperation means he does not care. but he cares deeply, he simply does not cling. He does not need to possess what he loves, nor does he need to prove anything to those who do not understand him. He lets things come and go, knowing that nothing can truly be owned, that all things are transient, that life itself is a passing river. And because of this, he is never truly shaken. He may feel deeply, he may love deeply, he may experience loss, but he does not break. His foundation is not built on fleeting things. His foundation is within. A man like this stands out not because he tries to, but because his presence alone is enough. Others may not always understand him, but they will feel something in him. A quiet depth, an unshakable core, an authenticity that is rare in a world full of masks. Some will be drawn to it, inspired by it. Others will fear it, resent it, misunderstand it. But it does not matter. He is not living for their approval. He is not seeking permission to be who he is. The man who knows his darkness is beyond the reach of manipulation, beyond the grasp of fear, beyond the illusions that keep so many bound. He does not seek freedom from the world. He has already freed himself from within, and in doing so he has discovered something that cannot be taken, cannot be given, cannot be lost, the unshakable truth of his own existence. He does not need the world to tell him who he is. He already knows. The man who knows his darkness is truly free because he no longer lives in fear, fear of himself, fear of failure, fear of the unknown. He has walked through the fire of his own mind, faced the shadows that others run from, and emerged whole. He is not bound by illusions, not controlled by his emotions, not trapped in the endless cycle of seeking external validation. He moves with purpose, with clarity, with an unshakable presence that comes from knowing who he is at the deepest level. This kind of man cannot be broken because he does not resist life. He embraces all of it. He does not run from pain because he understands that pain is a part of growth. He does not reject struggle because he knows that struggle shapes strength. He does not seek control over others because he has already mastered himself. In a world where most people are asleep, distracted, lost, afraid, he is awake. He sees reality as it is, not as he wishes it to be. He does not waste time playing roles, wearing masks, or chasing illusions. He simply is.